Day 11, Patriarchs, Genesis 22 through 23, Job 11 through 12, Proverbs 2 verses 9 through 15. Let's begin. Genesis 22:23. After these things occurred, God tested Abraham, and he said to him, Abraham, Abraham. And he answered, Here I am. He said to him, Take your only begotten son Isaac, whom you love, and go into the land of vision. And there you shall offer him as a holocaust upon one of the mountains, which I will show to you. And so Abraham, getting up in the night, harnessed his donkey, taking with him 2 youths and his son Isaac. And when he had cut wood for the holocaust, he traveled toward the place, as God had instructed him. Then, on the 3rd day, lifting up his eyes, he saw the place at a distance. And he said to his servants, Wait here with the donkey. I and the boy will hurry further ahead to that place. After we have worshipped, we'll return to you. He also took the wood for the holocaust, and he imposed it upon his son Isaac. And he himself carried in his hands fire and a sword. And as the two continued on together, Isaac said to his father, My father? And he answered, What do you want, son? Behold, he said, fire and wood. Where is the victim for the holocaust? But Abraham said, God himself will provide the victim for the holocaust, my son. Thus they continued on together. And they came to the place that God had shown to him. There he built an altar, and he set the wood in order upon it. And when he had bound his son Isaac, he laid him on the altar upon the pile of wood. And he reached out his hand and took hold of the sword, in order to sacrifice his son. And behold, an angel of the Lord called out from heaven, saying, Abraham, Abraham. And he answered, Here I am. And he said to him, Do not extend your hand over the boy, and do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, since you have not spared your only begotten son for my sake. Abraham lifted up his eyes, and he saw behind his back a ram among the thorns, caught by the horns, which he took and offered as a holocaust, instead of his son. And he called the name of that place, The Lord Sees. Thus, even to this day, it is said on the mountain, The Lord will see. Then the angel of the Lord called out to Abraham a second time from heaven, saying, By my own self I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing, and have not spared your only begotten son for my sake. I will bless you, and I will multiply your offspring like the stars of heaven, and like the sand which is on the seashore. Your offspring will possess the gates of their enemies. And in your offspring, all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you obeyed my voice. Abraham returned to his servants, and they went to Beersheba together, and he lived there. After these things occurred, it was reported to Abraham that Milcah, likewise, had borne sons for his brother Nahor. Uz, the firstborn, and Buz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of the Syrians. And Chesed, and Hazo, likewise Pildash, and Jidlaph. As well as Bethuel, of whom was born Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore for Nahor, the brother of Abraham. In truth, his concubine, named Reumah, bore Tebah, and Gaham, and Tahash, and Maachah. Now Sarah lived for 127 years. And she died in the city of Arba, which is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn and weep for her. And when he had risen up from the funeral duties, he spoke to the sons of Het, saying, I am a newcomer and a sojourner among you. Give me the right of a sepulchre among you, so that I may bury my dead. The sons of Het responded by saying, Hear us, O Lord, you are a leader of God among us. Bury your dead in our chosen sepulchres. And no man shall be able to prohibit you from burying your dead within his memorial. Abraham arose, and he reverenced the people of the land, namely, the sons of Het. And he said to them, If it pleases your soul that I should bury my dead, hear me, and intercede on my behalf with Ephron, the son of Zohar, so that he may give me the double cave, which he has at the far end of his field. He may transfer it to me for as much money as it is worth in your sight, for the possession of a sepulchre. Now Ephron dwelt in the midst of the sons of Het. And Ephron responded to Abraham in the hearing of everyone who was entering at the gate of his city, saying, Let it never be so, my lord, but you should pay greater heed to what I say. The field I will transfer to you, and the cave that is in it. In the presence of the sons of my people, bury your dead." Abraham reverenced in the sight of the people of the land. And he spoke to Ephron, standing in the midst of the people, "I ask you to hear me. I will give you money for the field. Take it, and so I will bury my dead in it." And Ephron responded, "My lord, hear me. The land that you request is worth 400 shekels of silver. This is the price between me and you. But how much is this? Bury your dead." And when Abraham had heard this, he weighed out the money that Ephron had requested, in the hearing of the sons of Het, 400 shekels of silver, of the approved public currency. And having confirmed that the field, in which there was a double cave overlooking Mamre, formerly belonged to Ephron, both it and the sepulchre, and all its trees, with all its surrounding limits, Abraham took it as a possession, in the sight of the sons of Het, and of everyone who was entering at the gate of his city. So then, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the double cave of the field that overlooked Mamre. This is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field was confirmed to Abraham, with the cave that was in it, as a memorial possession before the sons of Het. Job 11:12. But Zophar the Naamathite, responding, said, "Will he who speaks much not also listen? Or will a talkative man be justified? Will men be silent only for you? And when you have mocked others, will no one refute you? For you said, 'My word is pure, and I am clean in your sight.' Yet I wish that God would speak with you, and would open his lips to you, so that he might reveal to you the secrets of wisdom, and how intricate his law is, and that you would understand how much less he requires of you than your iniquity deserves. By chance, will you comprehend the footsteps of God and reach all the way to the perfection of the Almighty? He is higher than heaven, and what will you do? He is deeper than hell, but how will you know? His measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he overturns all things, or packs them together, who will contradict him? For he knows the vanity of men, and when he sees iniquity, does he not evaluate it? A vain man is lifted up in arrogance, and he thinks that he is born free like a wild ass's colt. But you have fortified your heart, and extended your hands to him. If you would send away from you the iniquity that is in your hand, and not let injustice remain in your tabernacle, then you would be able to lift up your face without blemish, and you would be steadfast and unafraid. Misery, likewise, you would forget, or would remember only like waters that have passed by. And brightness, like that of midday, will rise upon you until evening, and when you would think yourself consumed, you will rise up like the morning star. And when hope has been set before you, you will have faith, and when buried, you will sleep secure. You will rest, and there will be nothing to make you afraid, and many will make requests before your face. But the eyes of the impious will fade away, and the path to escape will perish before them, for the abomination of the soul is their hope." Then Job, answering, said, "Are you, therefore, alone among men, and will wisdom die with you? And I have a heart just as you also do, and I am not inferior to you. For who is ignorant of these things, which you know? He who is mocked by his friends as I am, will call upon God, and he will listen to him because it is the sincerity of the just that is being mocked. The lamp that is despised in the thoughts of the rich is ready for the appointed time. The tabernacles of robbers are numerous, and they provoke God boldly, whereas it is he who has given all things into their hands. In truth, ask the mules, and they will teach you, and the birds of the sky, and they will reveal to you. Speak with the earth, and it will respond to you, and the fish of the sea will explain. Who is ignorant that the hand of the Lord has made all these things? In his hand is the soul of all the living and the spirit of all the flesh of mankind. Does not the ear perceive words, and the palate, when eating, perceive flavor? In old age is wisdom, and in length of days is prudence. With him is wisdom and strength, he has counsel and understanding. If he tears down, there is no one who can build up. If he encloses a man, there is no one who can open. If he restrains the waters, everything will dry up, and if he sends them forth, they will subdue the land. With him is strength and wisdom. He knows both the deceiver and he who is deceived. He leads advisers to a foolish end and judges to stupidity. He removes the belt of kings and encircles their waist with a rope. He leads away priests in dishonor and displaces nobles, altering the lips of those who speak the truth and sweeping away the teaching of the aged. He pours disdain upon the leaders, relieving those who had been oppressed. He reveals the depths of the darkness, and he brings the shadow of death into the light. He multiplies peoples, and destroys them, and having been overthrown, he restores them anew. He transforms the heart of the leaders of the people on earth, and misleads those who in vain advance upon the inviolable. They will grope as in the darkness, not the light, and he will make them stagger like drunkards. Proverbs 2 verses 9 through 15. Then you shall understand justice and judgment, and equity, and every good path. If wisdom is to enter into your heart, and if knowledge is to become pleasing to your soul, then counsel must guard you, and prudence must serve you, so that you may be rescued from the evil way, and from the man who speaks perversities, from those who leave the straight path to walk in dark ways, who rejoice when they have done evil, and who exult in the most wicked things. Their ways are perverse, and their steps are infamous.